I'm writing cause I got to, I'm spitting cause I must. I use books and news for ammunition when I bust. My automatic hog leg, watching demons fall dead. Spitting silver syllables like this is my calling. The Southern Dragon Rob one, thumbing through the scriptures, writing psalms with the poison pen, painting pictures, trying to relate what I be seeing through my visions. My wings invisible help me rise from this prison. My ultramagnetic voice can help you rise with me. I feel something calling my spirit like the silver sea slipping underneath a full moon in a cloudless sky. I ain't your average MC, I'm a MCI. A master of communicating interpretation. Seeing through the veil while I'm speaking to my nation. I'm trying to heal our wounds. I don't need no ovation. I'm trying to heal our wounds. I don't need no ovation. I be the Rob one, blazing pen, dark sun bathing in, melatonin oil secreted by my pineal gland, moon mind glowing, influence rhymes flowing from my crown to my delta, taking wings, stretching to the sky, helter skelter, fleeing from the matrix like a fugitive escaping, a runaway mulatto with a bag full of papers and a map in the stars. The only thing can hold me is these 16 bars, cause I'm a slave to the rhythm, a king amongst men, a pauper in the pocket but a prince on the pen. A peon in the eyes of all the king's men, but don't tread on me, or freedom fangs will extend. My verses descend like rain from sad skies. They soak into the soil of my soul, then lie, buried in darkness, waiting for the dark sunshine so I can spark this, Hey, what's going on, party people? Robert Jenkins here, coming to you again with the latest episode of the North Star podcast. I just got through performing a poem entitled DarkSon. And I'm gonna, as usual, after a poetic recitation, after I burst forth in poetic radiance. Yeah, right. Whenever I do a poem on this show, I always like to sit down and explain myself, what I was thinking of when I wrote it. Now, keep in mind, like I say, man, a poem, it's for you to get something out of too. So once that poem is recited and put out there and floats through the ether, that's for the listener to get something out of it too. So please feel free to make of it what you will, except for certain things. I'm gonna tell you a little bit about what not to make of it. But like a poem is like any other work of art. Once you put it out there, it's made to be interpreted and thought about and gone through by the people who enjoy that art. So like I say, please feel free to do that. But I will explain, sometimes when you put out stuff, people tend to look at things differently. And they tend to put things in it that you definitely didn't mean in a negative way. Sometimes there's positive things or deep things or emotional, impactful things that might be present in your work that people see, and that's fine. But sometimes people look at your work and be like, whoa, what do you mean by that? Well, there's none of that in my work. I hardly ever write stuff with that kind of type of feeling. You know what I'm saying? And so one of the first things I'll say about this poem, DarkSon, is that when I say dark, and I said there's darkness, there's a line when I say I'm all about darkness in this poem. When I come up with that, people tend to think of the unrighteous type of darkness. And I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when I say dark in any of my works, because I tend to dwell on themes of being in darkness. It's just because I'm a melancholy, quiet, introverted person, and I like to be out of the limelight. And so because of that, I tend to do a lot of work during hours of darkness, and I tend to use imagery that deals with darkness. But I never refer to darkness as being somewhere deep in my soul there's darkness, or that I'm dark and depressed, and there's never any kind of bad darkness when I'm talking about it. No evil or there's no sinister darkness when I'm talking about darkness. It's the opposite, in fact. So if you look at the Bible and it says before God created anything, there was the form of the earth was dark and void. There was that dark is chaos. It's thought of the primordial chaos. And what it is like the absence of anything, but it's the presence of everything, because in that darkness lies the seed and the germ and the power that's untapped for everything, for all of creation, for the sun to break forth. That's the kind of darkness I'm talking about. That chaos, not chaos like craziness, chaos like untapped potential. That's the kind of darkness I'm talking about. That quiet, still darkness where your mind, body, and soul can expand and take in the full impact of the light. If you're already in the light, you can't really see the light. The light, the sun, ironically enough, that old Sufi Muslim scholar, I think, said it's how ironic it is that the light of the sun is what lets the sun be seen. Well, to truly understand that light, you have to have started out in darkness, that pregnant, powerful, churning depth of nothingness from which all good things can come forth. That's the darkness I'm talking about. So I just wanted to put that right on the line right off the bat. When I say DarkSon, I ain't talking about no devil. I ain't talking about none of that. None. Don't even put that in my mouth. That ain't how I roll, son. You know what I'm saying? So most poetry that I write tends to have a little bit of the autobiographical in there. I'm a child of the hip hop generation, so I tend to be like a little bit braggadocious with it, you know what I'm saying? And so you'll see a little bit of that in this poem. So you notice I say I'm writing because I got to, I'm spitting because I must. I use books and news for ammunition when I bust. My automatic hog leg, watching demons fall dead. Once again, I ain't talking about shooting nobody. As a child of the hip hop generation, I'm of that generation that can remember when there was no hip hop and then all of a sudden hip hop started and we was like, ooh, what is that? I remember that. And I've always known that a lot of times when people talk about shooting and violence and Uzis, what they're talking about is shooting the gift of gab. Frequently, not always. Sometimes they talk about shooting. You know what I'm saying? So, some songs, they leave it pretty clear that they trying to bust a cap in somebody. I'm not talking about busting caps like that. I'm talking about using the gift of gab, my God-given talents with rhyme and verse and knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, hopefully, to try to put forth something and try to spit it out. That's what people be, a lot of times in hip hop, they be talking about spitting out like a Uzi, spitting verses, dropping, we say dropping knowledge, dropping science, you know what I'm saying? So I use books and news for ammunition when I bust my automatic hog leg, watching demons fall dead, spitting silver syllables like this is my cow land. See how you got to rhyme it like that? That's fun. I like saying that because I get to put my Texas accent in there, you know what I'm saying? Let that inner self shine through. Now, I also refer to this is my calling. This is not my job necessarily, but this is one of the things that I feel that I was put here for. I may not get paid for it. It may not ever put food on the table. I hope it does. I'm trying to make it do what it do. But if it don't, I'm still going to do it because it's my calling. That's what your calling is. Your calling is that thing that you would do regardless of whether you get paid for it, whether anybody like it, anybody care, whatever. I still got the spit. I don't know why. I just do. And I say I'll be writing psalms with the poison pen, painting pictures, trying to relate what I be seeing in my visions. Yeah, that's what real magic is. It's like getting on the mic and bringing something forth out of the other world, out of the spiritual realm into the physical realm. You bring back something real from the unreal, or really bring back something. I don't want to get too deep, but I was thinking this world may not even be really real. I think the world of the spirit is what's real. So you're bringing back spiritual gifts from that world into this one. You know what I'm saying? Trying to relate what I be seeing through my visions. I be seeing little snippets and snatches of stuff, and I just be trying to describe it. And I might add that I be failing miserably trying to describe it because you don't get to see it good enough to touch on it good. You know what I'm saying? It's just glimpses of stuff, and that's what the whole point of these verses is to try to bring forth something out of that invisible spiritual realm back into this realm. And it's not necessarily even just the meaning of the words themselves. Sometimes it's more like the combination of the whole piece of art. It's like the meaning of the flow, the rhythm, the sound of my ultramagnetic voice. Of course, you know, that's a reference to the ultramagnetic MCs. That's that old school hip hop once again, you know what I'm saying? It's all about bringing something into the world that did not exist, and it's not necessarily just the on-the-page meaning of the words. And I say, this beat pulls my spirit like the silver sea slipping underneath a full moon in a cloudless sky. Y'all know my whole production company is called Moon Mind Productions, so that's always been a very powerful thing to me, because in the darkest of night, in that dark chaos that I was talking about, the moon is the dark sun. But I also kind of refer to myself as the dark sun, because I'm a dark sun. You know what I'm saying? Again, don't be putting none of that old occult in my. I ain't talking about that kind of dark. I already told you what kind of dark I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? We ain't talking about no occult. We ain't talking about no Baphomet. We ain't talking about none of that. You know what I'm saying? I say that there's this beat pulls my spirit like the silver sea slipping. The reason I say beat is because this was actually it was a song. And that reminds me too, if y'all would like to get the song version of this, I'm gonna make a special offer here. You go to my website, NorthStarPodcast.com, the NorthStarPodcast.com. If you go to my website, you'll be able to, in exchange for your email address, get a copy of this song that I produced. And this poem was written back in 08. And the song was made back in 08. And this is if you're a modern day poet, it's in the black community, messing with spoken word, kind of an urban milieu, I guess they call it. It's kind of hard. You don't know, are you a rapper? You know you're a poet, but when you spit, it be coming out like hip hop, you know what I'm saying? And you be like, well, I don't necessarily want it to come out like that, but that's the form it often takes. And I think you don't want to mess with it and tweak it to where it's something that's not natural, that comes out in a way that it don't want to come out in. You got to let it come out how it come out, right? So that's why this started out as a song. Is actually I had a website called moonmind.com back in the days, kind of a early podcast basically. What I intended is an early version of this show right here. And I did that song and put it on there, and I had this whole poem put up. So again, if you want to get a copy of this, just shoot me, go to my website, NorthStarPodcast.com, and enter your email address, and I'll give you the link for it. And that's going to be set up here pretty soon. So just go ahead and, like I say, in exchange for your email, you can get what I would say is a pretty decent little amateur rap song. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I was a little confused. It's hard you walking that tightrope, man. You don't know. I'm not trying to be a rapper. And matter of fact, I say I'm not an MC. I'm an MCI, a master of communicating and interpretation, seeing through the veil while I'm speaking to my nation. And that goes back to that whole principle of, there's some spiritual component to this, and I can see little snippets of things, and I be hearing whispers and around the corners of the edges of my hearing, and seeing things around the periphery of my sight. And you know it means something, these signs, symbols, hints, and clues, but you don't know what it means. You could see it sort of. A prophet one time told me, he said, you know what you know when you see what you see, but you don't know what you see and what it means. He said it was real like convoluted. And he was exactly right with that. I was like, yeah, I do be seeing some stuff and knowing some stuff, but not knowing what I'm seeing or seeing what I'm knowing. When I be struggling with these words on this paper and these giving them wing, it's in that effort to try to capture the meaning behind what you be seeing. I was thinking about the Roots, one of my favorite groups. He's a Black Thought he said, in the glow of the moon over the melancholy metro, my poetry ascends like a UFO. Woo! That's tight, son. That's what I'm talking about, though. That's what these words are designed to do. They're designed to take flight, man, and bring something out of that magical dark realm of chaos. The dark holy realm, not magical. It's the spiritual holy realm of darkness into the full light of the sun. And y'all see the double entendre right there. I said, I'm a master of communicating and interpretation. A little bit of braggadocio. Excuse me. I'm sorry about that. Speaking to my nation, I'm trying to heal our wounds. I don't need no ovations. That's the ultimate point of this, man. It's like expressing something to try to bring us together, try to make us whole. And like I said, I know I'm woefully inadequate, but everybody got to try and do what they can do. You know what I'm saying? I say I'm the Rob One blazing pen, dark sun bathing in melatonin oil secreted by my pineal gland. When I was in college, we used to all, read all this Afrocentric stuff, all this pro-black stuff. It's always talking about the pineal glands activated by melanin and melatonin be flowing through your brain and anointing you with the holy oil. And that's really what they was talking about in the Bible and all that stuff right there. And I say that whole melatonin oil secreted by my pineal gland, it's my moon mind glowing. And that's that whole concept of moon mind production. It's all about that quiet, still, fertile part of your mind that flourishes in darkness, but from that darkness all life springs. You know what I'm saying? All life and light springs from that darkness. That's the moon mind, the creative mind. You know what I'm saying? I call it the moon mind because I'm a night owl. That's why you got that owl. You probably can't see it in this shot, but that owl on the wall back there. That's one of my things, man. I'm an owl. It's one of my spirit animals, and I like being up at night. And when you be in the darkness like that, and the moon be full and quiet and dark, with that little subtle silvery glow, man, that's your moon mind. That gives your moon mind a chance to flourish. That's when all them good, like, deep thoughts be coming to me, and it's quiet enough to think and hear myself when I think. So that's what I'm talking about right there. Moon mind glowing, influence rhymes flowing from my crown to my delta. And delta is that little triangular part where the sea, the rivers rush out to the sea and they leave a triangular plain. And people nowadays fond of doing that kind of stuff. And I say, no, my crown to my delta, because I'm overthrowing that. I don't believe in that pyramid being up like that point, that all-seeing so-called eye, all-seeing on top. That's the sign of they God. That ain't the sign of my God. You know what I'm saying? I say, I'm stretching my wings and taking to the sky, helter-skelter, fleeing from the matrix like a fugitive escaping. A runaway mulatto with a bag full of papers and a map and the stars. A North Star. Oh, imagine that. And I got that Runaway Mulatto. That's a direct reference from an old ad that they put out where Crispus Attucks, who had escaped. And Crispus Attucks, if you don't know, was a runaway African captive. He wasn't no slave. He was a captive African. And he ran away north back in the late 1700s, and he was a ship, what do you call those dudes? A merchant marine, sailing on ships, sailing all around the country, free man all around the world probably. And then he was a little rambunctious like me, wanted to be free, like that freedom. And he was standing there with several other white people during the time of the Boston Massacre, when the British troops opened fire on a crowd of people in Boston Commons there somewhere. And he was actually the first person to be shot. So the first man to fall in defense or in seeking liberty in this country was black, Crispus Attucks. You know what I'm saying? And that's where I got that a runaway mulatto, because he was described as a runaway mulatto with his knees were nearer together than is common. So he's a little bit knock-kneed, tall. He was a big, burly, strong, tall, light-skinned brother. As a matter of fact, if you look on Amazon right now, it might be on other channels, but I got it on Amazon Prime. They got Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who is quite the historian and activist after his basketball career. He has a show about the African contributions to the period of liberty in this country, the 1700s. And I was watching that and I was like, yeah, another bad dude is Peter Salem, but we're gonna talk about him later. I feel like I know that dude too, but even though it's 300 years or whatever. Anyway, another little bit of I said I'm a runaway mulatto with a bag full of papers and a map and the stars. I don't think I'm technically a mulatto, but like I said, that's just a reference to that old slave wanted fugitive poster. And it says here, the only thing can hold me is these 16 bars. Again, showing that confusion. Am I a rapper or a poet that I had, it was going through back in 2008, these 16 bars. And I said, I'm a slave to the rhythm, a king amongst men, a pauper in the pocket, and a prince on the pen. But I'm a peon in the eyes of all the king's men. And y'all know what I'm talking about. That's the people that want to rule us. You know what I'm saying? I talked about it, the succubi. There's a psalm against the succubi that I wrote. Those people who think they're better than us, who think that they have the right to take our stuff and give it back to us little by little in the way that they see fit. The people who think democratic socialism is cool. So even in 2008, y'all see I was already on that same tip. And when I say don't tread on me or freedom fangs will extend, freedom fangs is a kind of a play on words. George Washington said that firearms are our liberty's teeth. He said firearms are liberty's teeth. So in other words, if you're a free man, if you're a free person in a free country, you have the right to keep and bear arms, because that's how you ensure, as a last ditch effort, your freedom against those who would enslave you. You have teeth to bite back. The Constitution has teeth in it, and the teeth in the Constitution is the firearms in the common person's hands. That's what liberty's teeth are, and I call them freedom fangs. You know what I'm saying? Why? Because I don't know. I'm just trying to be cool. Anyway, I say my verses descend like rain from sad skies. They soak into the soil of my soul, and then lie buried in darkness, that fertile darkness, waiting for the dark sunshine so I can spark this, And hopefully with that poem, I have sparked something in you, man. I hope I touched something. I hope you heard something in there that you like. I hope that little light in your mind went off. I hope you had a little smile on your face, so it was grooving to my rhythm. And if you wasn't, well, that's cool too. Okay, everything ain't for everybody, but if you did enjoy it, that's cool. So if you did enjoy it, hit me up on social media and let me know. You can find me on Twitter at North Star Rob. That's at North Star _Rob on Twitter. This podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and I'm going to get it up on all them other platforms too eventually. And you can catch me on my YouTube channel. If you don't want to just listen to this, you can actually watch the performance, and you can see it on YouTube at the North Star Podcast on YouTube. Just get in there and type that in there. Go on YouTube, and they always say like, comment, and subscribe. I say drop me some words or ring my bell. You know what I'm saying? That's because I'm old and I remember that song. You can ring my ring my bell. I can't even go that high, man. Okay, we see it wasn't for me. I better stay in my lane. We ain't here to sing, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, once again, folks, I appreciate y'all tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the North Star Podcast. Coming to you from the seat paradise is Robert Jenkins, and I want to bid you 2 digits.